Common sense media activated.
Live from the 210, it's the Wave of the Few Short Show, and we are your hosts, Mr. Trey M. Carr, and I am E. James.
Got y'all, didn't you?
It didn't start where it was supposed to.
They're probably waiting for me to go, welcome. Now, welcome, everybody. It's 2024 officially. And this is the first real episode of WFS. Shout out to Big Rich. Shout out to Mr. Trey. Shout out to Mr. Carr. Thank you all. Shout out to you, the listeners out there, for all your feedback. Since the inception of this show, we hope you enjoyed the epic crossover because it was epically sweet and fun for us. We hope to keep raising the bar each and every year. How are you fellas doing?
Man, I can't complain. I'm happy to be back, first and foremost, man. I'm glad to be back in the chair, back on the mic, back to doing what we do, man. Just ready to rock and roll. And like he said, man, just kind of coming off of that epic chasm crossover. Just excited to be coming back to what we do.
And if you liked what you heard, be sure to check out Dad Mode. We have the chasm crossover portion for that. Mm-hmm. And we have a little something special coming up for you guys. Public service announcement. We're probably going to change the name of the sports show, so stay tuned on that. Mm-hmm. And I jumped in front of you, Carr, so I do apologize.
That's all good.
Looking forward to the new show. I'll put it there. But also, I want to say I really, really liked that last episode. Dad, I was waiting for it. I was just, and not because I was just in it. It was a great talk, and everybody put in this opinion. I was just driving home one day, kind of feeling a little overwhelmed by work and stuff, and I heard it, and I heard you guys' input again, and it made me feel good. So
good, man.
Guys, man. Yeah, I was really looking forward to it. I was like, where's it going?
You were like, I've never seen you like type. Well, not never, but it's been a while since I've seen you send a message like, "Hey, I was waiting for this one to drop." I was like, "Oh, snap. Okay, my bad."
Waiting on this.
Yeah, man. He was just like, "Come on, bro. I need."
There's gems. There was like true life gems in there, and I appreciate y'all for everything y'all said. And then it just went to these places that, new concepts for me. So
yeah. Shout out once again to Rich. I can't wait till that dude moves here. Mm-hmm. There's so much magic in the works that, man, y'all just don't even know. Stuff I haven't even told you two about yet. Mm-hmm. That I want y'all to be a part of. So
y'all ain't ready.
Hey, man. Hey, stay tuned. So this episode, well, before we get into the episode, do we want to do our shout outs? Get those out of the way? Or want to parlay them to the end?
We can throw our gratitude in there, man, and our shout outs. So I guess I'll start it off. I've probably done this shout out like 20 times through our episodes, but a big shout out to my partner in crime, my wife, man. It's another year. There's a lot of things going on in our life, and I can't do what I do without you. And
absolutely.
We've got a lot of big decisions to make this year, and just taking it one step at a time, but all our steps are in stride. So that's the most important part. So thank you for being you and dealing with me, because I can kind of be a little bit of an a-hole from time to time. So
that boy be wildin'.
just a little bit.
So I'm just going to say it again. Thank you all, the listeners. As of the last week or so, I've gotten a lot of feedback on the shows in general, and then just nuggets from friends and family about ways we can expand and all kinds of stuff. And it's been monumental. I'm also going to shout out to the global noisemakers. You know who you are. We're cooking up something here in the lab, the musical lab. So hopefully I'll have something to share with y'all soon.
It's pretty good. It's cooking. Want to shout out, I don't know, Bill Millers. I don't know. I've just been thinking about it. I got like a lot of tea this week.
You got them supersized gallons out of Bill Miller.
You got to go to
Just
HTO, apparently.
I've just been getting like unsweet and sweet. I'm like all over the place, but mainly unsweet's my main thing. But shout out to Bill Miller's. Shout out to Willie Mills. Shout out to Greg Popovich. Shout out to Big Old Pop.
Hey, man, those City Edition jerseys look like Bill Miller, too.
Yeah.
I was going to say Taco Bell, but like old Taco Bell. It is a Bill Miller's like orange and kind of, but like old Southwestern.
Yeah. Okay. I had to think about that. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's just very like Arizona.
It is very Southwestern. Yeah, straight up. Yeah, straight up. Do people call it Will Mills?
Willie Mills. I call it Chill Millers. I call it all sorts of things.
Man, we got to make that a thing. Will Mills. I'm going, hey, y'all want anything from Will Mills? Chill Mills? I like that. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Man, I want some breakfast tacos.
Hey, man, those breakfast tacos are on point.
Yeah,
they are.
Man. It's the potatoes. Anyway.
Our Papa used to get those, man.
So yeah, that's my silly shout out. But yeah.
Hey, speaking of the Spurs, man, somebody witnessed something great. Almost great.
It was good.
Yes.
All right, so I went to the Spurs game last night. I got to see Spurs go at the Pelicans, and they went at it. It wasn't a lopsided thing concerning the
last
two teams.
shot.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it because I had to go because I was in tow with six ladies who wanted to get home. So let's put it that way. But shout out to y'all too. I love y'all. I was watching the score on my phone. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And I loved the game throughout the whole thing. It was very engaging. Considering the two teams' records, we got Pelicans like at 27 or 28 now, something. And then the Spurs were 10.
Yeah, 10 wins. Yeah, they're 7th in the West and we're last for 15.
Yeah. It was right to the end. Like it was just two very similar teams, just in different parts of brackets that just lined up. And the game was actually pretty strong. And I got to see a lot of stuff. I'm going to go at this for like a little bit. I'm sorry, guys. Like,
go for it.
So this was interesting to see just because we all know when we go on those kinds of years when people don't really come to the games like as much. Like it was one of those games, stadium gave you some arm room. I love the years like post championships when you don't have arm room, but I also like those years when it's a little slower and you get to see like development team. Even though we're like at the end of a decade of that, it was still good to go. Still great energy. It's my first time back to the Frostbank Arena with the Frostbank name.
Had your Frosty?
Yeah, I had my michelada. It was good. Had a good time. Got to hang out with the kid. Got to hang out with my lady. She got me tickets. So I was very thankful for that.
Hey, shout out to the lady for the tickets, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to the lady truck. Anyway,
the lady truck. Nice.
She got heart like a truck. Anyway.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of sports and other things, this episode is brought to you by the letters C and B, or B and C, for conflict in beef and conflict. So we're going to do something a little different here. We're picking a central theme. We're going to talk about conflict and dealing with conflict in an episode called What's Beef? Working through conflict.
Yeah, we're going to take off our sweater, take off our shoes like Mr. Rogers. Hang it up. It's like, we want to talk about beef today.
And what inspired this was, it's probably obvious if you've listened to the crossover, but it started with Shannon Sharpe and Cat Williams. That was huge. Apparently, the world has an appetite for beef. Now, we've had a war going on in Ukraine for over a year now. Has it been 2 years?
It's going on 2.
Yeah, 2.
Oh my gosh, it'll be 2 years. Yeah, almost 2 years. Excuse me. Israel and Hamas, that war, or Gaza, that's been going on since the fall. As mentioned, Cat Williams. We have an election coming up. And then some sports journalists decided to let their hair down and start cat fighting. Stephen A. Smith, Jason Whitlock, these cats. Am I missing anything else? Music. It's crossed over into music.
Yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion and
Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj. I mean, I don't know too much about that, but it just seems to be a certain atmosphere. The world, especially us in the U.S., we really seem to have a taste for conflict. So, where do we want to start? We want to talk about Cat. We want to do a quick recap.
Recap of Cat.
Yeah.
Recap.
Recap.
So all I know right now about Cat is that his ticket sales have gone up like 800%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did an Austin show and it was like a packed house.
Yeah, it was sold out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, he was in Austin?
Yeah.
I missed that. What?
Yeah, it was right after August. It was the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Right after right after everything had dropped. I think I might have said during part of our Chasm crossover, like this was the most genius marketing move of all
absolutely.
time. Because all this happened right before he went on a tour.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now everybody can't stop to can't stop to get enough.
Even the shows at the casinos in the middle of nowhere, like all points are converging. Like,
dude, it was funny. So my teammate, she lives in Yellow Springs, Ohio. You know, that's where Chappelle lives, and so she goes to the comedy shows out there all the time. Well, there are rumors that Cat Williams was going to show up. She wasn't even going to go. But as soon as she heard that Cat was showing up, she was like, yeah, I'm going. Spoiler alert, he didn't show up. But that got everybody going. Yeah. Just the thought, post Sharp.
Yeah.
Club Shay Shay. Shout out to Shannon Sharp.
It came Mr. Touch and Bust.
Yeah. I mean, just the thought of him being there, it's working.
Yeah.
That marketing, as you said, is genius. And as Rich said, it's the year of truth. I just heard, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this on social media or not, but the next comedian that's going on there, Monique.
Oh, she's messy, dude.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's gonna I got my popcorn. I'm ready. I might take the day off of work.
I think she's gonna come with a notary. Like
I'm gonna need you to sign these. Yeah. I was drinking when he said that. That hurt my throat. My throat, man.
Dang, she's rowdy.
Yeah. So real quick recap.
Recap.
He went at Ricky Smiley, all these comedians, Martin Lawrence, who else? Steve Harvey was all Cedric Entertainer.
All the kings of comedy, pretty much.
All the kings of comedy except for DL.
Yeah.
He has love for DL. He left Chappelle alone. He's got love for Chappelle.
He even went, eye to eye with Kevin Hart.
Oh, of course. I think he's a little taller. Not much.
Not much.
He's like, I got an inch on you, man. I'm gonna need you to use your inside voice talking to me, Cat. Say it with your chest.
He's blinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Even like Michael Blackson,
motorcycle.
I cannot get jiggy with this.
right. What is this? Yeah, man. I mean, so he attacked all these guys. He talks about Ludacris.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
I mean, and then Ludacris, come on, man, that weak rap.
Yeah, that weak little diss track off of what was it, Devil in a New Dress? I think he was rapping on. My favorite part is that Cat came back with a diss song to Ludacris. He did a little rap.
Well, you forgot he used to be down with Dipset.
So that's my favorite part. How did that turn into a rap beef?
Lord,
I'm telling you, man, it's the year of the beef.
I'm just like, really, guys. Look, I'm not hating on Ludacris. I think we all got love for Luda. Luda's got bars, but I was like, Luda, really, man? Come on, man. Come on. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Saw him today, one of the Fast and Furious, and I was like,
sideburns.
Yeah.
They all got light-skinned women.
Weird faces.
Weird face. And then I'm looking at their women. I'm like, they're all not too bad. Why you being mean, man? He just had hate in his heart, and he let it out.
Yeah.
He let it out. Yeah, man, that was just that was crazy. And then on the heels of that, so Stephen A. Smith of ESPN, the Disney family, ABC, etc.
The House of Mouse. Yep.
Ooh,
there you
that
go.
was really good.
Yeah. In sync.
That was beautiful, guys. Stephen A. Smith, not to be outdone, while the beef is in the air, people have a taste for it. He says, "Hey, Shannon's my man. I got him on First Take. I think it's time, on the heels of releasing his book, for me to air out Jason Whitlock." Now, in all fairness, I think it was provoked, because Jason Whitlock is disputing the facts in his book and going on these long, way too long. If you got the ears and the time to listen to Jason Whitlock, hey, God bless you.
Yeah.
Because I did that so you don't have to. And it's 2 hours of my life I can't get back. Granted, I did it while I was working, so I didn't have to sit and I can't stand him. It's got nothing to do with political. I just don't like his style. I don't like his speech. Enough about me. So he talks about things in Stephen A's book. Stephen A gets on there on his show, and he's cursing. He's calling him a fat bastard, all that, calls him a piece of poop. Not in that word.
Bad words this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephen A, he told at one point, he says, I was going to say he told me, he told the audience.
He told us.
Yeah, he told us. At one point, he called his sister. He apologized to her. Then he called his pastor. And he's like,
Lord, forgive me for what I'm about to do.
Right. And he says, my pastor said Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And it's the look on his face, man. I wish we could have showed you that clip.
It's
I was
not
trying
even
to find
that,
it.
though. It's like the whisper that like you're telling Harry Potter a secret. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Right. I mean, it's so
severe.
It's absolutely severe, man. And it was so bad to where he says something that I try never to say. I don't know about you guys, but to say he hates this man.
Yeah. That
That's
was the exception.
Hate is a crime.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be all, touchy-feely, but there's hate crimes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and
that's deep.
He made the point to say, I don't hate anybody, but dog, I hate you.
Right.
Like I don't push hate, but I hate you. And he said, not a little bit either. I hate you a whole lot.
Yeah, he did that and says, not even a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. He said, if you get within a mile,
you better hold on to yourself because you will take your soul.
Yeah, wrap your arms around yourself to protect your soul. Come on, man.
He's Shang Tsung, dude.
Hey.
A lot of beef in the air. I don't know why. This just gives me Granddad versus Uncle Ruckus vibes from the Boondocks. I don't know if it's like Stephen A's hairline plus what like Jason. I don't know what it is, but that's the vibe I get from
I like gold. I like showers.
Don't trust them.
Oh man.
Yeah, come on over here, Freeman.
It's your two uncles at the party arguing over like a card game 20 years ago.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
And admittedly, I'm not the biggest fan of either one of them. If I had to choose out of the two, I'd roll with Stephen A. Just because I like the other people that Stephen A. the personalities he brings around him.
Yeah,
the
way he, like you said, encompasses people. Like you said, how he brought Shannon Sharp after his turmoiled end at Fox Sports.
Oh yeah,
to say the least. The way he looks out for folks.
Yeah,
I like a lot of things Stephen A. does. The way he puts an effort into bringing HBCUs into the conflict and not the conflict, but into the spotlight.
The convo.
Does his Friday shows during portions of the season there to bring them up. Things like that. That's what I like out of Stephen A.
They can't say that he doesn't pay it forward for his colleagues.
Yeah, and then he's part of a scholarship program. I can't remember the school he went to off the top of my head.
Winston-Salem.
Yeah, Winston-Salem. Yeah, and he's you're talking millions of dollars that they work to getting people of color scholarships to continue their education and make that change in life. So those are the things about Stephen I like. But the dude, to say the least, he can talk.
He's polarizing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But when he's right, he's right. There's times. I mean, as a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan, he.
Oh yeah, he don't give us no type of
no love whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't watch First Take that whole week after we lost, bro.
Neither did I.
Couldn't do it.
So I want to, before we move on to like our next examples, I want to take a moment. So I've been looking at some articles on Psychology Today.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was trying to like find other ones in relation to like resolving conflict, but it had so many gems. So shout out, first of all, to Psychology Today. Yeah. But I wanted to try to take some of the things they ask people to do or some techniques they ask people to do to try to resolve conflict and point that, towards some of these situations. One of the things they say is practice active listening. With a situation like these comedians and these entertainers, we didn't talk about Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion in particular. I don't know how that started. I don't think that's relevant at this point. Well,
it's not really relevant. It's just a beef that I find intriguing. I don't really know how it started either, but there's a lot of hate in that. They just dropped a diss song, Nicki dropped a diss song about it. It was
all crazy though. She can't sleep. Like that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of beef and hate in that. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I find it hilarious.
So before we get into the psychology part, I want to actually add another thing to the music portion. I don't know if you guys heard about Yasin Bey, formerly Mos Def, and what he said about Drake.
Nah.
So he was on a podcast and good Lord, I forgot the name of it. I wanted to actually go and check out their Patreon because that's how you can watch the whole episode.
Yeah.
But they knew what they were doing. Their marketing team was genius.
You put it behind the paywall and
But they got you. She asked, do you think Drake is hip hop?
Oh.
Now you're asking a guy who's got bars, like is like not just
lyrical mastermind,
but the culture,
the
preservation of the culture, what it means. He was part of native tongues. You know what I mean? Him and Talib and all these other guys, Raucous Records. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Raucous Records in the 90s was the antithesis of the No Limits and the Bone Thugs and Cash Money and the Rough Riders and Rockefeller, all the commercial stuff. These dudes were coming with just like straight lyrical fire. You have those two as mentioned. Common wasn't part of Raucous, but he was down with Raucous. The Roots and Black Thought specifically in Questlove, Soulquarians, that's another clique, right? Those guys were down with Raucous Records. Pharoah Monch is a lyrical beast. So Eminem used to do stuff with Raucous Records, be on there. Like when they were doing their compilation, he would go and do little guest spots and show his lyrical ability because these were respected artists, right? So you got a guy like that who is an old head now by today's standards. Sorry, Mos. But I mean, it is what it is. You get older. Yeah. I think if he's not 50, he's very close. He's knocking on the door of 50, right? So she asked him, do you think he's hip hop? And he says, he's like, he gets away from the mic and he says, hate that you asked me this. Like you can hear him kind of like say it way far away. And he says that Drake's music is the kind of music that is synonymous with shopping.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's like, he's like, for real, you go to Target and you hear
the hotline bling,
right. I mean? Yeah. He was, and so she's trying to get him to dive deep and you could tell, I didn't mean kick you. Sorry. You could tell she's trying to get him to dive a little deeper and he doesn't really want to pick on him because when you think about someone like Drake, I've always heard Drake doesn't write his own lyrics.
Puts a lot of people to work or gives them work.
Right.
Yeah, he puts people on.
Yeah, he does. He does. And he's you guys know I'm not a Drake fan at all, but I can't knock the fact the man is a heck of an entertainer. Mm-hmm. And he did say he was pop.
Yeah.
And that's true. He's pop, hip hop.
I think that's a accurate explanation or accurate definition of what Drake has become.
Yes.
I want to put that caveat in there, has become, because when you listen to like the comeback season Drake and some of his earlier works from like 06, 07, the dude's got bars. Like he can rap.
Yeah.
But it
just got big.
My question is, did he write those raps?
I think so. Okay. I mean, I don't think you get the respect of like the Lil Waynes of the world if you can't go into a studio, right? And Drake's written a lot of things for a lot of people.
Yeah. Gotcha.
You know, he's ghost written a lot of things.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
So that's where it comes into me with him. I think he got to a point where like, I'm writing for people. People can write for me too. Mm-hmm. Once he got to a certain level. So I think he was hip hop, but Drake is pop now. I mean, when it comes to records and numbers, the only people that he's challenging now are the Beatles and the Michael Jacksons, and
it's not even his genre anymore.
Yeah, it's when it comes to rappers, like number one hits, album sales, and stuff like that. He's other than Eminem, like he's blown everybody else out of the water. So what do? You shift. You become a global icon. The dude dropped Honestly Nevermind, which is like a straight pop record, trying to get into the clubs of the Bad Bunnies of the world and stuff like that. That's how I took it, trying to go on to that genre, that wave. So, but most of it's right. Nowadays, that's what you get from Drake. Ever since Views, in my opinion, in like 2016, Drake has been a pop artist. He's here for the charts, man. He's not here for the streets. He's trying to sell.
He never put himself out there because everybody knew he was the guy from Degrassi to start.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what happens. He shifted in that way. He's still himself, but he's selling to places you hear him play at Target. And
at one point, and it's a female host. She did a great job with the interview because there's other clips I've seen where like Yassine dives deep. I mean, he's talking about the conflict in Gaza, which, we'll lightly touch on, but he's talking about that to a world economic power kind of thing, and all kinds of stuff, power structure, right? The establishment. And she's like, what do you think about Drake? She goes, she said something about skews, and then Yassine's all, oh my gosh, look at all these skews, so many skews. He's like, have you heard this music? I love this music. I love this product. And I mean, it's hilarious the way he's doing it.
Yeah.
But it almost looked like later on, I just watched this literally yesterday. It was perfect timing for this episode. He did this video on his live video on his Instagram where it almost looked like he was in a ransom video. Like somebody was saying, they're feeding us well. They said send $20 million. Like it just kind of looked like that. But he said basically, look, it was never my intent to hurt Drake's basically not hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
He says, I don't have any beef with him. I love Drake. He's good for the culture. He says, I tried to contact him, but he didn't get in touch with me. If you want to talk to me directly, let's do that because I don't do all this digital stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, come talk to me. Let's try to get together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think he realizes the optics around that because everybody's looking for that spice.
Yeah, the DJ Vlad stuff.
Right. And that coincides again with the Stephen A's and the Shannon Sharps and these other hip hop artists that are beefing with each other. And this, I wouldn't necessarily call this beef,
but it's like the seeds of beef.
It is. It could be. And so I wanted to kind of tie that together to talk about conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he answered, there's a question that says, do this before speaking. So it says, do that before speaking. Before you communicate, ask yourself the following questions about what you wish to say. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it useful? And here's my key one. Is it necessary? And here is the second huge one. Is it going to land well? Yeah. And the last one, is it the right time to say it? And so is it necessary? And is it going to land well? I don't know I'll answer that question myself. I think it wasn't necessary for him to kind of play it up a little bit. Like that kind of added the spice to it. But did it land well? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, Drake fans don't really care probably about what Yasin Bey thinks.
Yeah, probably.
Drake did respond to him on IG real quick. And what did he say? What do we say again? Let me shine my light, King. Don't switch up now. Was his kind of only response that I've seen to that. As far as landing well, I guess that just kind of depends on what you think. I don't think his statement, like I said, was an overstretch at all.
I don't think there was any malicious intent. I think the part that didn't land well was him, look at all these skews. Like that could look like you're making fun of him.
Like a sellout or something.
Yes. Yeah. Like you're kind of you're calling him a sellout precisely. So I don't know. That was, I thought that was interesting that came up out of nowhere.
Well, you got to think like probably the publicist that calls him Yasin Bey once a year. He was like, this is our phone call. What'd you do? Like, come on, you got to do this because you also play at Target sometimes.
Right.
Well, you know what I mean?
Oh, mommy says, shot a light on the world.
Yeah, dude,
that's the jam right there.
He's had some popular stuff too. But yeah, isn't this weird? Isn't it odd? How this
Isn't it odd?
Yeah, it's kind of perpetuated by the people wanting the beef to happen too. It's not just him and that lady who asked him the question. It's what the internet wants.
Yeah, the internet definitely throws gasoline on the embers that they leave behind from these little takes, I think. And that, I think, is American culture, what it's come to, at least over the recent years. This is the combination. This is what we do. This is what we live for, right? Something to click on, something to follow these conflicts, these confrontations between people that I don't want to say idolize, but follow on a regular basis.
Yeah. It's called a parasocial relationship. You know, it's the relationship you have with your social media and like individuals that have no real effect on your life, but you let them, right? I've touched on this before. But yeah, I don't think there's some weird secret cabal, man. They're just making everybody want to have beef, man. That's what it is. They open your eyes.
I don't even like red meat like that.
It's the cattle industry. They just want us all to have beef.
So gotta get that USDA.
Yeah.
One thing I saw in here that I want to give Yasin, I know we're using that particular, it's not really a true beef, but I do like that he did this.
Yeah.
So one thing, it says 7 steps for better conflict resolution. I want to focus on this is that it says recognize your part. And I think that's what he did well.
They owned it.
Yep. It says be accountable and objectively assess your share in the conflict. Acknowledge your role in the problem and take responsibility. And I think that's what Yassine was trying to do with his video, and say, hey, man, I didn't mean it like that. I wasn't trying to come at you. Let's talk to each other. Maybe they can break bread, and then that lends into, that's number 4 on this list, which could lend to maybe later on, number 7, discover a win-win solution. Maybe we get the Yassine Bey Drake collaboration, which would be weird.
That'd be so strange.
That would be that would.
I mean, one of those rare times where Drake actually has to rap nowadays.
Yeah, like real hip hop.
Yeah.
Hip hop.
Yeah. Exactly, man. So that'll be interesting.
Well, yeah, it just seems like he doesn't have a race to be in. Like, he's not following the rat race right now. He's just doing him.
Yeah.
So he's not really pressured by external forces to say this or that. So he maybe just touched on owning what he did. And he didn't do much, but he had to own it because the internet at large was going.
Yeah, was going at it. Yeah, they were poking that bear, or trying to poke that bear.
That's really cool, but like under a microscope, I don't know, any other individual, how would that go? Like, would you remember this, or would it be more pressure? Would it be more emotional? Would it be financial? Like, it's a lot of different factors that maybe block out like the common sense that you see in these kinds of like how-to lists. Like it could be other external factors that you want to do this, but your image dictates that you are Roddy Piper, or, or The Rock, or like, you know what I mean? Like they want you to sell it. This is, hey, your concert tickets are getting really, really like slow, man. Like we've had to do a bunch of returns. You should play into this. Like it'll be good for both parties. There's a lot of stuff like that at play too. But it feeds us in a way where we don't ever think about the common things. We just want to go straight to the escalation, but we're not selling concert tickets. We don't have our faces on t-shirts.
There's no image to maintain.
Yeah. It's funny you talked about like the WWE aspect, because I've been going down a rabbit hole with, I don't know if you're familiar or remember Rasheed Wallace, the basketball player.
Yeah.
I know you do.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously you would, but he used to play for the Portland Trail Blazers and the Detroit Pistons. Those are the 2 teams he's most famous for. He was known as a bad boy. Yeah. He used to get technical fouls all the time for crazy stuff. So I will give you the Cliff Notes version of this with a particular example of conflict. So he played against the Pistons, that is, played against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And their center, whose name is Zydrunas Ilgauskas. I'll say that 3 times.
Zydrunas.
So Big Z, right? Goes for a layup, but before he does it, or is it a dunk? Anyway, goes up for a shot, ends up elbowing Rasheed.
Okay.
And
does he retaliate?
He did. He retaliated. They called a tech on him, right? And Z took exception. Next time they played them, there's another guy on their team, a Brazilian cat who used to be on their team, Anderson Varejao. You remember Varejao? He used to have big curly fro. His hair, he would run down the court. It was like a unicorn. Yeah. It bounced, bro.
And bouncing.
Yeah, man.
Good visual.
So Anderson Varejao does a non-basketball play. He and Ilgauskas are down in the post. He ends up, and Anderson's Varejao is tall and he's wide. Takes all 3 of them out.
Dang.
Now, Rasheed was the offensive player with the ball, mind you, right? So he comes for help defense from the weak side. Boom. They all hit the ground.
Yeah.
They gave all 3 of them technical fouls. Rasheed Wallace, because of his history, Rasheed Wallace goes to the ref and said, hey, man, I had the ball.
Yeah.
Why'd you give me a tech? He said, we got the word that if you're involved in any type of conflict, we automatically give you the technical foul, whether you started it or not.
Oh, so he's an exception to the rule. So
yes.
Damn.
He's a Draymond before Draymond.
Right.
Okay.
And so when you think about stuff like that, as an example,
like chips are stacked against certain individuals, and like context isn't always key when you have a rep.
Yes. Yes.
That sucks. Yeah.
That does suck, and it's like, I think that kind of goes in with like owning your part and understanding their perspective of you, their perception is probably a better way to put it.
Gotcha.
Their perception of him in that particular time is like, you're the problem. You're a problem child.
Yeah.
And anytime there's any type of conflict with you or any type of push, anything we don't like, you're going to be the guy.
Yeah, you're complicit.
You're automatically you're going to get it. We're going to make an example out of you. And I worry about that let's just take sports and entertainment out of it. I worry about that with people in general. We've all seen the kid at school growing up who was the hothead. And even if they did nothing wrong,
they still find a fight to get into.
Well, even if they didn't start it,
because they're in there.
They're in it.
Yeah. I mean, they're at the scene of the crime. You automatically know what went down. I'll give you a good example. I don't know if you guys have any examples from your childhoods. There was a fight that went down. It was a good fight too. This kid Dusty and this kid I used to call Blueberry.
Okay.
This kid Blueberry. This is gonna make y'all laugh. This is in Omaha, Nebraska. Not to bring race into it. This white kid thought he was a Crip. Come on, cuz.
Blueberry.
Blueberry.
Yeah. And I remember, if I remember correctly, Dusty knocked him out.
Okay. Cold.
Yeah. So our principal, we used to call him Superman. His name was Mr. Sis.
That's us.
Yeah. Right. Mr. Sister. Pulled me aside. He got wind of it.
Yeah.
And he thought he could get me to snitch. Hey man, before the Dipset said I wasn't snitching. And he was like, hey, heard about a fight that happened the other day. You want to tell me what that was about? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I heard you were there, Eric. I'm like,
I'd be a lot of places, man.
I'm like, you heard I was there, but did you see me there? He's like, come on, let's talk about this. I was like, I think I need to call my mom. My mom had a reputation of she ain't the one.
Yeah.
We're good here.
Boy said, can I get a lawyer?
I was like, yo, call my mom and my dad. My dad like helped out with track too.
Yeah.
So my mom and my dad would have been like, I'm sorry. You want to do what now? So there's always those situations where no matter what, even if you're right, you're wrong. Even if you're not involved, you're involved.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever known anybody like that growing up or witnessed any situations like that when you were growing up?
I mean, yeah, I've had some,
even as adults,
folks as I've grown up that just always seem to find their way into conflict. It doesn't matter what's really going on. I had a homie, we'll just call him Treason because that's what he went by on the mic. That he had a rough childhood. Like he grew up rough, but because of that, he found himself in certain situations that you just don't want to find yourself in. Fights, weapons, just things, like he was a thug, or he wanted to be. He was, but he always found himself in that situation, and those things, your reputation precedes you.
Yep.
Like that is like layman's terms. It's ABC. It's what you need to know as you grow up and be an adult. Is your reputation is going to precede you. So whatever situation that you find yourself in, if you're constantly finding yourself in situations, you're going to be looked at in that light. I don't think there's any way around it. Unfortunately, it's human nature it's like the boy who cried wolf. Like you lie all the time. Eventually people are just going to stop believing you. You fight all the time. Doesn't matter who started the fight. You're in another fight. So it's, like I said, it's human nature. That's what we come to. And it's what drives a lot of conflict. Unfortunately, people don't get the fair shake or the fair shake down. But in my opinion, it is what it is. If you don't want to be that type of person, then you have to think about the consequences of what your actions can be or can lead to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get you. I've been somebody with a good reputation and a bad reputation. So I know what it's like to be on both sides of just not being expected of much and also being expected of doing something right or wrong. So right now I seem to have been really careful about cultivating my new reputation and like my life and stuff. But yeah, I've been bad. I've been good. I've been everything in the middle. But what I've realized is that I finally have a grasp on perception and like outward perception of what people see you on the outside. Cause I used to not care. Like whether I was doing good or bad, I used to just really not care. But I would feel like I'd set myself back professionally just because I was too punk about it. Like, so that definitely is something I personally have been accustomed to. I've been a loser and a winner. You know, and it's, I think about that every day because the opportunities I give myself now are because I'm cultivating something,
You're trying to change that perception of yourself.
Yeah. But ultimately I know I don't know. Everything's very gray now as you're an adult, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and there's always that situation too where it's like that boy just can't get right.
Yeah. There's shades of that, with people that I've known, and even in myself when I look in the mirror of that. But I think all that has just taught me to kind of give more benefit of the doubt, if anything, for the rough ones or even for the clean ones. Like you just see that grayness now, and especially for somebody that's been on both sides of things. Like I take more intent time to really see like what intentions are and stuff. And it helps me. And I think because I've been on both ends.
I'm going to cross a little bit into dad mode territory.
Yeah.
If you like where we're going, check us out at Dad Mode Pod on all the social media things. And it's the one with the superhero. Now that there's two of them.
Conflict and beef.
Cease and desist. No, just kidding. One thing that I'm learning as a parent, and you don't have to be a parent for this. This is just if you've got a child or children in your life, you can see how they kind of resolve conflict and don't, like in their little brains. But one thing I was told when I was growing up by my mom was like, somebody hits you at school, tell a teacher.
Yeah.
And you and I touched on this. We think we talked about this recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So teacher hits you. Teacher hits you.
That's a whole nother problem.
That's a whole nother problem.
We'll get
This ain't
into that.
1936.
Yeah, I know, right. Shoot, man. I got paddled when I was a kid one time, bro. That's Carlos Coon.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I miss that era. Carlos Coon.
Yeah, man. That was crazy. So, man, it all ended with Meyer. So anyway, they hit you, tell the teacher. Happens again, tell the teacher. Third time, handle your business. I've kind of adopted that philosophy with my kids, with the exception that if you have no way to escape, even if it is the third time, like I tell my kids to defend themselves, but I also tell them if there's a way to get away from the conflict, the physical conflict, leave. Because if they're anything like me, I've got a bad temper, and I do a decent job these days of like really suppressing it. But I have my moments where I can explode, and I don't like that because when I explode, I blow up, so I try to never let myself get there. I'd rather just tell somebody early on, hey man, I'm not feeling this. And it's better for us. Even if sometimes it comes out a little rough, it's better for me to just get it out early and say, hey, I'm getting to a point where this is not going to end well for one of us. And it's probably going to be you, unless it's like, Muscle Man or something. Okay. That's going to hurt me the more it's going to hurt you. But my point is I tell my children, they need to try to find a way to escape. And when they tell their teachers, make sure you come home and tell us. Because if this behavior, this pattern continues, I want to be able to tell the teachers and defend my children and say, hey, when they told you, they told us too.
Yeah, there's accountability here.
There's everybody is in the know that needs to know. This is so I've recognized this as a pattern of behavior. So-and-so kid or kids has a thing where they want to mess with my kid or kids. And if you're letting this continue, then we're going to stop it. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Now, when they're outside of school, I tell them straight up, hey man, no holds barred. You're not at school. Handle your business.
Yeah.
I would still prefer that and I may not win Father of the Year for this, but I would still prefer that you try to get away from the conflict, because especially if it's your friend, you know how it is when you're boys. We'll just pick on boys for a minute. Boys, it's true. We get rough. You hit me, I hit you, and it's done. But what happened? Why'd you punch Tommy, man? Tommy hit me first. And you guys are still friends? Yeah, we're done.
Yeah. So
I
got it out.
Yeah, exactly. But girls, they play the long game. A lot of them.
Yeah.
They play the long game. So I wanted to bring that up because we have children around a similar age. You are a prospective dad now, right? You could be a stepdad's, I don't want to put anything on you that you're not ready for. But I wanted to get you guys' window into that realm of conflict. Like, what are some nuggets you're trying to tell your children, you're trying to tell your girlfriend's child if you see her dealing with frustration? And the conflict doesn't even have to be amongst children, right?
Yeah.
It could be internal. It could be with parents. It could be other family members.
I just tell the kid, she could tell me whatever, and I'm not just going to immediately get mad. I don't know what she's had in other men in her life or whatever, but like I'll ask her something and then she'll try and like go around about it. Just tell me what's up. Like, I'm not gonna get mad at you. Like, just tell me. Like, that's been a thing too, because I guess there's conflict there, you know?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
getting accused of doing something or whatever. And I'm just like, it's not like that. Like, you want to sit on this chair, go for it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. She's like using the office now as like her de facto room. So things are kind of leading that way, but she'll do something like get huffy and then slam the damn door and all that stuff. I'm just like, chill. Like, we're not going to do that. Yeah. Girls, like, girl world's different. I don't know. Like, I'm very outnumbered. Even the dogs are girls. Like, I don't
Trust
know.
me, bro. I understand.
I need a chess piece. I need a little dude to kind of get
Always outnumbered, never outgunned. Remember those words.
Yeah, it just feels like
rest in peace, Keith Flint.
I'm learning, but I think conflict now is a biological thing right now because I don't know how to navigate these very ladylike waters. Mm-hmm. And they like things that we don't. We like things that they don't. Mm-hmm. So that is a natural conflict. It's not anything like intentional or anything, but there's a little mini conflict going on where I'm just like trying to always figure out like where I stand and how I participate and how I am present and stuff.
Yeah.
With preserving my identity and stuff too, and not bending over backwards all the time and all that stuff too. But, you know, figuring out my role in that, because you can still be a masculine man with a bunch of little girls.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just ask Kobe. All right. My bad.
Man, rest in peace.
But girl dad all the way. I totally understand it. For me, when it comes to my kids, I actually take a different approach based on the kid.
Yeah.
Because like I have my oldest who's a little bit, she avoids conflict, you know, which isn't a bad thing, but you have to know how to stand up for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So with her, I've more, if somebody's pushing you around, you need to stand up for yourself. You know, hit them back. They hit you, you hit them back. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to have that. My younger one is mean. Like, and she has a temper. So with her, it's more like, hey, you need to step back and you need to compose yourself. Come get me or your mom. I kind of want to take that approach with her, kind of how you do. Tell the teacher, tell us before you kind of escalate with things. Because I can see how once she gets into a conflict or once she gets into like a little fight, like
the same playbook doesn't apply.
Yeah, she's gonna, I know, like I like to avoid conflict. I'm not somebody who runs towards it, but once
you're pretty even keel.
But once I get somewhere, it's like, you see the red and then you're just like, oh snap, what did I do? Kind of deal. And my youngest, I think, will be like, she'll get there a lot quicker. The red will come if she's just in the conflict. So I want you to step back. I want you to come tell me, come tell your teacher, try to avoid getting in that. Cause I know once you're in that, like you're going to fight to kill, like not literally, but in that sense. And then my oldest, like, no, you need to stand up for yourself. You don't need to let people walk all over you. You need to put your chin up, ball your fist up, whatever you have to do, and make sure they know that they can't do that to you again.
Absolutely.
So that's my approach on that when it comes to the kids, because they're different. They're very different. They're not similar really at all. Except for they kind of
same parents, and that's it.
They kind of look like us, but other than that, they act totally different, stubborn, shy. There's just so many different layers to that. You know what I mean? And then they're both girls. So I have to figure that part out too, with the emotions and the, like you said, the long game that they think out. Yeah. They don't forget, like elephants, they don't forget anything. They know, and they'll bring it up. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be this month, but they're going to bring it up and they're going to remember. So I take that approach with it. When it comes to conflict with them, I try not to approach it how I approach conflict, because I ain't got time for conflict, dude. Yeah. Unless I'm a dad too, on top of that now. Unless you're threatening my ability to get back to my kids, it's not that big a deal to me.
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where, as I've gotten older, I've tried to think, is it worth my energy to allow this to be upset? Like Daily Stoic talks about that often.
This February is something like that. It's like it started off for the hot-headed man. I was pissed that day too.
Yeah, well, and it's great because it's right on time for what we're doing here. Yeah,
for the emotional season. It's
all about passion.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Ryan. What's his
Ryan Holiday?
Ryan Holiday.
Roll Tide. But no, it's been a great read for me, because I've missed actually a couple weeks. It's just I've been so busy. And so picking that up, it's like, oh man, That's right on time, brother. That's right on time. Because he basically says you're allowing that person or that situation some level of control over you.
Yeah.
And so if you do that, let's say if that's the person's goal, then they win.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't their goal, it somehow there's a winner, right? You lost because you allowed that to alter your state of mind and get your blood boiling.
It's take you off the path.
Yeah, and we're all human. That's where like I like that. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, man, that's not always going to happen, right? We're all humans. It's emotions, but I try to sit back and go, okay, let's think this through. Like I'll give you good examples at my job. Like I love my team. Shout out to my team if they're secretly listening to our podcast. You know, my new manager is a little bit more, or leader. He's a true leader. He's a little bit more particular about certain details than I'm used to. He likes to nitpick some things. And where I worked before,
that was an attack.
Yes, my leaders were very attacky like that, and it was to belittle you almost, and use that information against you to not promote you.
Yeah, or not give you that incentive.
Right. Like I heard from a friend of mine, and shout out to my man, Rob, you know who you are. My man told me that my leader, which he sent me a text, your boss is trying to F you. You need to change something. He said he like basically we have these ratings of like meets expectations, does not meet. He says, I wish I could give him a low meets expectations. I'm like, am I meeting your expectations or not? You know what I mean? Like I'm not doing anything wrong that I know of. You can tell me in every one-on-one that I have that I'm doing my thing. And this person, I would allow this person to get my blood boiling. And you guys have had those, you heard me rant and rave. We had long phone calls where I was cursing about this dude. And so having that guard and that backup going into this job, whenever there was a critique, my first thought and emotion is defense. Shields up. This guy's trying to attack me. Shout out to my wife for being the kind of person to say, hey, you're not there anymore.
Yeah.
That just
It's
listen
important
to it.
to hear.
It is very important. I'm going to go to Psychology Today again in this other article. Keep an open mind. That applies to so many things in life. For example, we mentioned it earlier and we have not talked about it, and we don't really got to get into politics, but we have an election coming up.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's down as if you're a Republican, you know, your two major choices right now are Nikki Haley and Donald Trump. And honestly, there really is no choice.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is more than likely going to be the guy that comes out of that camp. From a Democratic perspective, it's Biden or bust. It's B or B. It's Bob. Biden or bust. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why I bring those up is because you've heard so many times we're more divided than we've ever been before. We're more divided. In some ways, it feels like that. In other ways, it doesn't. I just wish that people who are on opposite sides of certain issues would just sit down and, number two, listen to what the other person has to say.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way? Because in my opinion, I've got friends, we all three of us, that's what I love about the people that we interact with. We've got folks on all walks of life, you know, that all different opinions. Some I vehemently disagree with, but I respect the person. But listen to what they say. Why do you feel that way? I voted for this person because of X. These things mean this much to me, whether it's marriage, abortion, or, you know, same-sex marriage, you know, taxes, whatever. I don't want to dive into the issues. Yeah. That's not important. 3, understand their perspective. Can you truly understand that person's perspective?
There's no way to understand if you don't listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
4, show empathy toward their position. Like, to me, these seem like basic things that we can do. Like, okay, I don't like, you know, X candidate's stance on these things. but I can understand why this means, this is where I can kind of agree with that. Like, for example, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to get political.
Let's just put it this way. Like, hey, your neighbor's cool. Helped you out one time, fix a lawnmower, but also they vote for the dude that you don't vote for.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, you've had a drink with this guy. He's made hot dogs. That guy is always the first one. Hey, oh crap, I got to run. Can you watch my kids for 10 minutes? Sure. Not saying this is what happens, but everybody's got that community, right? Mm-hmm. These are people in your community. They're in your tribe. The tribe being the communal tribe, right? The community tribe. Whether they vote one way on a certain issue or not, you're all in this thing called life together. And then the last one, not the last one. The next one says, objectively consider that they may be correct.
Yeah, that's a hard thing for anybody. Can you imagine like being wrong? Or first of all, that hurts and it makes you feel bad. Like, but like when you're open enough to accept that you're wrong, you learn and then you are right. Well,
the other thing too is that the other part says, or whether your two viewpoints can coexist.
Yeah, that's a big point of that, because some viewpoints or some opinions on things,
they don't overlap.
They
run
mesh.
Side by side.
Yeah, there's no, if it's like a Venn diagram where you have like the little oval in the middle, there's no middle ground within some viewpoints. Yeah, but if you listen, like we were saying, and you try to understand their perspective, you can get a grasp on, hey, maybe, you're going to believe you believe, I'm going to believe what I believe. And I don't think these things can work together, but I respect your right to have that opinion. So it doesn't need to be an escalated conflict, but you have to kind of have that open mind, like you were saying, and come to that point of realization and that, just that point of understanding, whatever the context, whatever the situation may be of, okay, I see where you're coming from.
Well, you got to ungamify some stuff in your head too. Like gamification is a big thing in professional worlds and all that stuff, but we try and apply it to things in our lives that don't matter. Like it comes to like Coke and Pepsi, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's red versus blue, literally at that point.
Yeah, it's irrelevant. Like it's all relevant stuff, but you don't have to gamify all that. You could just appreciate your neighbor figuratively, appreciate the things that y'all come together with and run side by side instead of having to go cross over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I apologize for not having this article ready, but this list lends into what we're speaking about now. I was listening to We're Not Wrong, and they were talking about a study that showed that with Gen Z, men, and I'll find it. I'll try to find it if I can and throw it in the show notes along with these. The study showed that young Gen Z folks are trending are trending more conservative.
Yeah.
And Gen Z women are trending more progressive, which when you think about progressives, we're talking about the Ilhan Omars and the Rashida Tlaibs and the one everybody thinks is pretty. I can't think of her name.
Cortez.
Yes. Ocasio. I mean, she's attractive. She is. Cute. Yeah. I forgot her first name. Ocasio Cortez last name.
Alexandria,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and Bernie, right? AOC, thank you. So you got that, and then conservative. To me, that's a little bit of an umbrella. Like, what part of conservatism? Because I mean, technically, libertarians are kind of conservative in certain ways. They're just a little bit less.
They just don't hate people.
They're just they're a little bit more loose. On some of the other things. Very much about limited government, just like a conservative traditionally is about limited government, right? So, anyway, thinking about Gen Z. Technically, my oldest is the tail end of Gen Z. Do you guys think, and I'm going to piggyback off of their conversation, they asked, do you think that that's a problem long term? Can two people who are on polar opposites of issues exist like relationship wise? I have a friend who's conservative. I think his wife is more liberal. She doesn't really talk about it, but
or passive.
But they've got 3 kids and they're happy and they're doing their thing. But I just kind of think about from a moral standpoint in like what centers you as an individual if somebody in your home
is completely the opposite take about stuff. Yeah.
I think that could lead to some very bad conflict, especially when it comes to things like raising children, for example.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It really comes down to, can that person keep that open mind? And like, can each of those people in that household keep an open mind? We don't have to come from the same beliefs or the same opinions, but if we can keep an open mind about each other and not immediately turn our disagreements into conflict, then you can coincide. And that's the point, or the main point, that you should make sure that we're teaching these younger generations. Like, you don't always have to be right, and people aren't always going to agree with you, but make sure that you listen to them, try to understand them.
Yes.
And show empathy for their viewpoints.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, and we can teach the younger generation to do that, then there won't be any issues. But with the way society is trending, I mean, just look at the episode that we're having. It's all about beef and conflict.
Yes.
And there's like we said, there's an aspect of us that like gravitates toward that and likes that. If we can't tame that as a society, then there's not going to be a lot of that listening and understanding. So
it's what sells, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what gets sales, or gets the likes, or gets the clicks. That's really, that's my viewpoint on that, or my answer to that question.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a really good point, man, is having the ability to say, look, you were raised a certain way, or I was raised a certain way. This is how I feel. This is how you feel, etc. I think it'll allow people the space to say, okay, let's talk about what we do agree on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We agree. Let's say you're parents, or you're getting ready to become parents. Okay. Let's iron these things out. I know you feel strongly about this thing and that thing. Let me hear you out. You hear me out. Is there a happy medium?
Is there common ground, or is it just always going to be like
a push and pull?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something you would establish early on before you even get to have children. If you're not to like pick on anybody, but if you're doing it right, that's something that you would already
have baseline for.
Yeah, if you have decent communication.
Yeah. If you've got the so my wife and I, she was in college. I was working. I was going to community college. She was at university, and we would drive to see each other all the time. You guys know I talk a lot. She's quiet. But I told her, number one, I said, if we're going to do this long distance thing, I say long distance, means she's 45 minutes away from.
Was that San Marcos, bro?
Right, exactly. Texas State. And I was over by SeaWorld. You know what I'm saying? But I'd say if this is going to work, we got to communicate. A lot of relationships I've seen with people that fail is because
of communication.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the basis. You just stop talking. This guy I listen to, he says that, men marry women thinking she'll never change, and women marry men thinking I can change them, and it's like, I think there is some truth to that in certain ways, but I think we all change.
Yeah, it's unrealistic to think you're going to be the same 19-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I look, if I think about 20-year-old me, I wasn't necessarily crazy, but I took some risks.
A little wild.
Yeah, I was a little wild, but I took some unnecessary risks, that make me cringe. I also, to stay on topic, and I'm sure you guys can relate, we all handled conflict and beef
way different.
Way different. I can genuinely say, and I don't know about you two, I've never had, I don't think I've had much true beef with anybody. I fought a handful of people in my life, dude.
I mean,
I pride myself on,
it's a good thing,
on not fighting.
Yeah.
I know how to do it. It's been so long since I've done it. I still think I know how, but maybe I don't. Shannon Sharp said it on his show. What was the line? I don't know if I can fight, but do you want to find out?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of where it is, going back to where you were talking about your kids. You would do anything. You cross me and my kids, hey man.
Yeah. That's where, all right.
Hands come up. They cross you and your lady and her kid. Hey, man, that's Papa Bear mode.
I should probably kick their ass. I'm not too worried about it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's a different line, bro.
I'll take the video. Like, get him, baby.
He's in the background cheering her on.
What's true beef though? Beef is when when I see you, guaranteed to be in ICU. You know what I'm saying? That's what is beef? You know,
Yeah.
when
Shout
your mom's
out
ain't
Biggie, man.
safe
Rest
in the
in
streets. That's beef.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but seriously, I've never had anything of that magnitude.
Not
You know,
since-
we've had rival schools.
Yeah, I was like, not since the school days. You know, you have that
Right.
one person that it just don't matter. You know, I don't like you. You know, there are people that, you know, I don't like you. I don't care what it is, but is it beef? At least not where I come from. There's not a lot of that going around where your life depends on it or something like that.
Yeah.
I live by the whole, if you're not paying my bills, if you're not cutting my checks, like, it doesn't matter. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it. Like, yeah, if you're not giving me food, if you're not giving me all the F's, you know what I mean?
Except that both positions can be right.
Yeah.
Or concede your position, and in doing so, prevent the conflict from taking hold and escalating. That's number 6.
Yeah, like preventing escalation is a big thing. Also, just like saying you're wrong. That's like a thing I had to learn in my 30s.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And even then, still, I have to force myself to take that medicine. Be like, all right, I'm wrong.
The one thing I never, let me walk that back. The one thing I do my absolute best not to do, just switching to parental mode, is to tell my kid that's how it is because I made you. If I've made a mistake, I have gone to my children. Like I've barked hard on my kids, like a dude that owes me money on the street, hard on my kids, and been dead wrong, tears and everything. And I've gone to my daughter, and as in this example, and I told her, I held her hands, I had a couple tears in my eyes, and I said, I am so sorry, because I came at her full head of steam. It was completely unwarranted.
But she'll remember that you
and my wife and I both say this. We say, look, we never, to all three of them, we never ever want you to be in the position where you feel like you can't talk with us.
Yeah. They've told us that before. Because
conflict isn't just external, it's internal too.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
We've talked at length multiple times on this show about what we're going through in our heads and in our hearts. That's conflict.
Yeah.
I talked about my good friend who dated our cousin. I wouldn't necessarily call that beef. I've got no ill will toward the guy. I just don't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
That's conflict. I could have handled that situation better.
What's a version of conflict too?
Yeah. I wish that man nothing but the best in his life. I just don't want to talk to you. Our run is done.
Yeah, let him eat, but just not at your table.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. And I think in that specific episode.
Yeah. And sorry if I'm repeating myself.
No,
I just wanted to circle.
It ties into what we're talking about today, and that's that's a fallout of conflict, a peaceful fallout from conflict or beef or disagreement, whatever you want to call it. It can escalate into violent matters or linger and continue into long time back and forth, or
it could ruin your life. Yeah.
Based on the conflict or the disagreements that we've had, what did it say there? Our two viewpoints cannot coexist, so we will no longer coexist. That's a way to deal with it. So there's it's not a repetition. That's ties directly into what we're talking about.
What's that movie where that dude loses his mind in traffic in LA?
Falling Down.
Yeah.
Michael Douglas, baby.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah. So do you, in your life, we all play Falling Down in our head?
Oh, straight up.
Every minute of every day, there's falling down going down. But do you really want to do that? It sounds awesome just to you know what? And just take the keys out of the car and just go nuts. But do you really want to change your life because Tina from HR said something bad about you?
You're gonna run into Burger Boy and shoot up the place because it doesn't look like the picture.
Yeah. Run up on somebody while they're eating with their family just because they owed you money or something, like just.
You're going to run into Bojangles. I told you not to put this much salt on my fries.
Yeah. Man, Bo's is salty. Yeah.
Bojangles is salty. It's good though.
We just started beef with like some Charlotte listeners. Like, what'd you say?
Exactly.
We're all starting beef right now over chicken.
Bush's chicken or bust, bro.
Ooh. Starting beef over chicken.
Yeah, that's beef over chicken.
Hey, we're right there, dude. we're well in the overtime, and I don't want to rehash our Israel Hamas episode. I'm gonna lift this up to a world level in general.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared, man.
Yeah,
I'm very scared.
Do you think?
The conflict?
Mm-hmm.
We've got. It's weird. Ukraine almost feels like background noise now.
Yeah,
isn't that weird?
Yeah,
isn't that odd?
Isn't it weird?
Isn't that strange?
Odd.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We're talking about a serious topic and still cracking jokes. That's what we do. That's still going on.
Yeah, but it's an afterthought.
Right. Now we got the stuff that's been going on for a few months with Israel, Hamas, and now
you have Iran,
and Houthis and Yemen, that whole
region.
That region is bubbling up. When is enough, man? Like I am so concerned that we as a nation are spreading ourselves thin. We're not going to get too political. I'm going to throw that disclaimer out once again. We're not going to talk about the X's and O's of war. I'm talking about this like the village idiot, okay, who's just trying to get through every day without being turned into vapor. What's that in the sky?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's my concern. That is my concern. And I wonder, talking about some of this stuff, I mean, this goes far beyond, I think, than some Psychology Today articles, right?
Yeah.
But I want to know what the leaders of these countries, what are we thinking, man? We're playing fast and loose with things that can eradicate whole cities in a blink of an eye.
It's weird because common sense is superseded by corporate interests and money and oil and all these other things too. And it's like at the end of it, it should be the most important thing, but it's not. And we don't understand how the money shakes out in a way to where it just doesn't.
Shameless plug for the business name. I wish they would handle this with more calm and sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's those are the things that make it silly. There's some sort of level to insanity. To where it's all repeating over and over again.
Yeah, doing the same thing, trying to get a different result out of all this stuff.
Word.
It's ridiculous. It's scary. I think you have the perfect word for that, man.
Oppenheimer scared the crap out of me. And that's just a movie about something that happened in the 40s.
Right.
But all that echoes into today. And I thought it was really prescient when I was trying to, just go on a vacation with my brother. And we're like, you want to go watch Oppenheimer? It just bummed me out the rest of the time. I was all Metallica, just all around me are familiar. It was bad.
This one's for my daddy. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. That's way off.
Yeah. Whack for my dad. Or,
whatever that song is. Yeah.
Even then, I think about that and I know it's just a stupid movie, but it might not be. It's a message too. I
was going to say, ain't no stupid movie. That was based on a real story.
But can you imagine something that happened already 80 something years ago, more about 80, 85, 90 years ago can have a lasting effect as to what's going on right now. A group of individuals, less than 100 or so, just out in the desert, figured something out about this world that now is in everyone's backyard.
I was reading these articles, man, about the drones that Iran's supplying to these cats.
Yeah, they're gnarly, man.
Bro, these things cost $20,000 to make. Think about how much our country spends on defense, the military. Look, I mean, hey, I get it. We got a lot of occupation going on around the globe, so we need some defense. But I mean, apparently Iran's been playing with drone technology since the 80s, which is crazy to think about because I'm it's been around that long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The secret Star Wars program and all that stuff.
Right. And it's just and these dudes are just launching them up nothing. Hey, pay me. Cash App it. Boom. Here's your drones.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm being funny, but
If you really
it's crazy, man.
if we really all cut it up and look at it, like we're all just kind of, in a cultural sense, we're all just consuming this weird Jerry Springer stuff right now because I feel like there's a desensitization in place because like I think when it all hits the fan, we're going to be used to chewing on our sugary cereal bites of BS.
And by me opening up this segment and saying I'm scared, this is what the mainstream media does. Spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Alex Jones is back, baby. I've been waiting a long time to get on your show, Mr. James. It's a pleasure meeting you, Trey M, and Mr. Carr. I appreciate you guys. Let me get on here. There's a war going on for your minds. But if you get this reverse osmosis machine,
So,
but I mean, yeah, go ahead.
like, for the people that don't think about it too deeply, they're going to feed us like all this trash. And then when the real stuff hits the fan, it's just going to kind of taste like trash and we're going to accept it. You know? I think that's what it is.
We started this thing off talking about asking what's beef. We brought it up later. That's beef.
Beef tastes like trash. And like, it's how much you want to consume it and be a part of it.
No. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We're on the same page.
Like,
okay.
it's all-
That's
it's all
beef.
Yeah. Like, but these little issues, these little 5'2" issues named Cat Williams, like
That's nothing.
it's a bigger picture.
Those are distractions.
Those are distractions. And we're all just getting ready just to point the fingers and all that stuff because
Look over here.
Yeah.
This is going on over there. You know what I mean? Like Biggie said, beef is when you need 2 gats to go to sleep. That's cute.
Yeah.
Beef is when you don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow because you're going to get your house blown up. You're going to get your city blown up. You're going to be under a pile of rubble.
Yeah.
You're in a hospital, what you would consider to be the safest place in the world. A hospital should be off limits to warfare.
Yeah, apparently according to NATO, but that's off the table too.
And that's getting blown to smithereens, bro.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
And whatever you believe politically, listener, like you got to agree that this is
It's not okay.
it's not okay.
You and I have talked about this offline with the Ukraine war. There in my old coworker, there's whole subreddits dedicated to dudes showing you what's going on. Now, I don't watch that because I don't want to see it. But whole subreddits dedicated to dudes filming war like it's Call of Duty.
Yeah, there's no more Ken Burns documentaries. You could just watch these things now. And you could just watch the war live pretty much and catch every single ugly detail of it. And it's uglier than any kill cam on Call of Duty. Like,
You got beef in different colors.
I just thinking about it makes my eyes water just how sick it is.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You get what I mean? Like beef in different colors, Europeans, Middle Easterns.
Yeah.
You know, now you got, is China going for Taiwan? Is North Korea's been talking, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of...
He's been talking that talk.
There's a lot of animosity in the world. And I think everybody is getting to a point. When I say everybody, I mean like the nations are getting to a point where...
chess pieces are moving.
Yeah, exactly. They're starting to play their gambit. Let's lay the piece out and see what happens because we've got a couple of moves planned out and ahead. And I do think that's something that the U.S. is also trying to do with certain places. But I also think there's a lot of, I have a conspiracy mind with some of the stuff going on as far as Israel and Hamas. I think there's a weird underlying aspect that just isn't really as common as people think. I think there's something with the land there that
it's the Giants of Kandahar. No, I don't know.
Yeah, there's just something going on there that I don't think
it's as
tactical as people are making it out through. But there, why is Russia mad? You have the Ukraine trying to go into NATO. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to have missiles that can get to Russia in a matter of minutes being launched. There's a lot of those pieces at play. And again, we don't want to get into the X's and O's or the politics of it, but those things are scary to think of. And all these nations are moving and beginning to extend their hand. And what's it ultimately going to lead to? Like you said, what's that up in the sky coming down on us? And then you have all this stuff going on for such a long time. And now it's so accessible that the desensitization, or however you put it earlier, is going to play a factor. And I think it's going to play a factor in America more than anywhere. I think that people aren't lining up to.
We're not ready for.
Not ready. to fight that war or to fight that fight or whatever it may be.
Have you
No, go ahead.
you ever seen Dr. Strangelove?
I have not.
So it's a movie that was made like right after all the wars. I think it was in the 60s, like a little bit removed from World War II, but it's called Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Love the Bomb. And it has to do with like a missile crisis. And it's all these political figures moving around in the UN and all that stuff. And it's funny. It's funny, but it's dark. And it ends with like a guy like with a cowboy hat just going, wow, like, and he's on a bomb and it's getting dropped. But like, yeah, that's how it all kind of plays out. But it gives you this really farcical view of like what the powers at play are doing to talk about these kind of de-escalation tactics. And it's a pretty interesting movie.
When you're talking about the cowboy riding the bomb, I wonder if that was supposed to be symbolism for us. The Americans.
It was.
Yeah, okay.
It totally was.
Just by you describing it that way, I'm like, I wonder if that's supposed to be the depiction of our government or whatever.
Yeah, you can put that in a reel. You just have to watch it. Like, it's pretty cool. Yeah,
right. Yippee-ki-yay, man. Yeah, guys, this is beef.
Yeah, that's beef.
Conflict. Beef sells. Conflict sells. It's everywhere. Whether it from our music, okay, East Coast, West Coast in the 90s, hip hop. A lot of companies made monies off the back of
Death Row,
Death Row, but who own the labels? These the people that own it, they made a lot of money off of Biggie versus Pac for a long time. Then it got bloody. And there's always been beef, right? Let's not kid ourselves and say this is a new concept. It's always been there. But now, starting off 2024 with these entertainers who are telling their tales, their conflict, they all have a taste for it. And then you spill over into sports, the Draymond Greens of the world.
Stephen A. Smith.
Yes, right. Journalists are going at it with each other. I mean, it's just, it's all over. I mean, look at reality TV, Real Housewives.
My 600-pound life.
It's all.
I mean, you got women
fighting.
You got women arguing with each other. I mean, it happens with it used to happen with Duck Dynasty and the Pawn Stars. The best I can do is.
Yeah, there's a gator in the barn. Who's going to get it?
Yeah. I mean, and now that's more of a comedic twist, but it's the drama,
conflict.
right?
Yeah.
The conflict, the real world. The real world, when they started this reality TV thing, MTV, when they started this, their slogan, this is what happens when people stop being nice and start getting real.
Yeah.
It was a novel concept, but there's now formulaic ways to feed that machine.
Yeah.
One of the biggest entertainment conglomerates in the world.
Broke it down to a
WWE.
science. Yeah.
Vince McMahon.
I want to talk about Vinnie Mac one day, but not now.
Yeah, we won't talk about that now. But what does he make his money on?
Just silly drama of muscle men,
Getting on a mic. Yeah. Hey, brother, I'm going to rip you in half. Ding, 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 ding.
Listen, you stole the Intercontinental Championship from me. And yeah, I'm stammering because I'm like not a good wrestler, but still.
When I get down there, I'm going to break you in half. See, let me tell you something.
The cream always rests.
You took something from me, and that was my title, and I'm going to get my just due. So with that, play my music. See you at Backlash.
Yeah, dude.
I used to be a backyard wrestler, full disclosure. They used to call me the businessman.
Okay.
I used to wear a button-up sleeve with the shirt with the sleeves cut off. Yeah, just like IRS.
So yeah, we're all just in the WWE right now.
Yeah, we're living Vinny's dream one way or another.
Oh man.
Just don't name any objects after me.
Don't name any objects after people that you know.
Take that Triple H, man.
Oh, is it time to play the game?
Damn you, Austin. For the ones that know, we love y'all.
Oh, man.
Hey, new year, same us, new knowledge, new passion, new things on the horizon. We love you guys. Thank you so much. We hope this was entertaining. We ran long today, but we needed it.
It's been a while. We miss y'all.
Yeah.
So you can find us on all of the things except X at Wave of the Few Shore. On X, we are at WFS Show. Follow us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you like your podcast. We're on YouTube, baby. And soon we'll have some videos to give y'all of the full shows. Stay tuned for more information on that. I'm not going to bloviate. You guys got anything else to say?
Just a lot of peace, love, and happiness. And remember, keep an open mind.
I second that motion. And you can follow me on TikTok at Wavy Car. That's car with 2 R's.
Ooh, the personals.
See you. Go ahead. You follow me on the IGs, Marshall and Mike's 3, and the X at Marshall and Mike's. Let me know what you think, man. I'll let your boy.
And I'm at on all the things except for TT. I'm at E Can Talk. I just don't have a TikTok account.
Same.
With that, we're going to say my favorite word,